Welcome back to Knowledge is Kings, guys. I am Kings. Today I'm going to show you how I made a dice tower that looks like a castle. And you might be wondering to yourself, why do I need a dice tower? Well, a dice tower is a great way for kids to throw their dice in and keep it in one spot instead of flying off the table. Anybody who's played Yahtzee with kids knows what I'm talking about. So let's get to it. The first thing I did was to rip down pieces of MDF on the table saw set to 30 degrees. Then I cut them all to the same length to get the height of the tower. Then I lined them all up with a straight edge and taped the seams together. Once they were together, I routed the grooves with a V-bit to make the faux stone. You can see I took the time to draw stone patterns on there, but they ended up being too close together for the bit, so I ended up just freehanding the design instead. You can see when one seam was cut, I moved the piece over so I can get the other seam to line up as well. That way, when it's folded together, it looks like the one stone is wrapping the corner. I found it easiest to route the seams first, then route in between the seams. This was the long and tedious part of the project. Once I had that all done, I realized I forgot to cut the door in for the dice to come out of, so I had to remake one panel, putting the door in there as it should have been in the first place. You'll have that on these big jobs. Then I started the layout for the ramps for the dice to roll down. I just loosely folded the tower together so I could test fit each piece. Once everything was fitting how I liked it, I put fresh tape on there for more holding power and then glued it up. The only glue I used on this whole project was TP10 instant glue with activator and its off-brand version, which I think is pronounced Miter Apple. This glue is very fast on anything you put it on, but on MDF it is truly instant, so you need to line it up perfectly the first time. As I was taking the tape off, I just sprayed the corners with glue activator just to make sure if any squeezed out, it would be hardened before I touched it. You don't want to get any of this on your fingers unless you like to be glued to the next thing you touch. For the ramps, I just spread some glue on the sides and slid the ramps in. You'll notice I used a roll of tape to hold one of the ramps at the right height. Not really for any particular reason, but I wish I would have used two smaller scrap pieces of wood instead. The top ramp I didn't get in fast enough before it set up on me, which is why I had to trim it on the table saw. Then I easily slid the tape out I put in earlier. Once that was fixed, it was time to make the base, which I just cut from MDF. I also made a small section to go around the area that catches the dice, the same way I did the sides of the tower, but the bit depth was shallower. Then I glued it all together. Now for a coat of paint. I didn't have a paint cup or brush, so I just stole some from my wife's studio. I didn't think she would notice, so I didn't bother to ask. I might have been wrong about that. On an unrelated topic, tomorrow we're going to be building a doghouse. For the first coat of paint, I mixed Mod Podge with black acrylic paint to make the paint more durable for later steps. Then I mixed black and white acrylic paint to get gray for the stones. Once that was all dry, I used some leftover grout I had from a tile job to fill in the cracks. I used a plastic trowel to apply it and a damp sponge to remove the extra. You can see the layer that was just the acrylic paint started to wear off as I brushed it with a damp sponge. Once it was all grouted, I did touch up some spots that were really worn with a slightly lighter gray so the stones wouldn't look too uniform. Then, to age it a little, I mixed a drop of black acrylic paint in some water and brushed it on, dabbing off any excess. Once that was all dry, I dipped my brush into white paint, and before brushing it on the stones, I wipe off as much paint as possible. Then I just try to focus on hitting the tops of the stone, brushing downward. This just gives a little highlight to the stone and gives it a little more depth. That was actually going to be the end of the project, but I thought I need to add a little flair. So I had the Laser Kings make a portcullis and a couple of shields, which they cut out for me on orange acrylic. I'll talk more about the Laser Kings at the end of the video, but I asked them to send a video of the acrylic being cut so I could add it to my video. So that was nice of them. I do have a small diode laser, but it really is only good for engraving. So if you need anything cut on a laser, the Laser Kings is a place to go. And no, they are not sponsoring this video. They're just a great local company. Here is what they looked like finished. The first portcullis looked too small, so I had a bigger one made with some notches that ended up looking more to scale. Once it was cut out, they paint them how I want them, and I think they turned out really well. I glued the portcullis and the 3 shields on with the TP10. If you have never used instant glue with activator, you really need to give this stuff a try. But once they were glued on, the project was complete. Well, there you have it. That's the dice tower. Now, if I had to do this again, one thing I would change the size. I ended up making this 4.5 inches wide on the one piece when I originally had designed it at 3, but when I cut it at 3, it looked really small, forgetting that you add them all together, and now it's twice as wide as that. So if I had to do it again, I would definitely keep it at that 3 inches to keep it a little bit smaller. This thing is pretty hefty for lugging around at game night. But anyway, if you like that, be sure to like and subscribe, and please leave a comment below of a project that you'd like to see me do in the future. Now, before you go, like I said earlier in the video, I want to talk more about the Laser Kings. It's a local company here in Arizona, but they ship throughout the whole United States. I believe they have free shipping even on Etsy. They make very unique things cut out on the laser, but my favorite being with the animals that are cut out of different layers of wood, painted, and then glued together. They even make little kits for the layered animals that you can give to someone so they can paint them and glue them together themselves. They also make custom cut acrylic signs that go on these nice little lighted bases. If you do a lot of cooking, you'd love their magnetic measuring cups that has all the necessary conversions on them that you would use. They also make custom Apple watch bands. So if you want to add a little flair to your watch, give the Laser Kings a call. Now, as I said, the Laser Kings is not sponsoring this video. I just like to give them business. Plus, I really like the name, Laser Kings. I mean, you know they gotta be good. But feel free to check them out on Etsy. Also, don't forget about our 10,000 subscriber giveaway. Once we hit 10,000 subscribers, I'm gonna be giving away a Makita 18-volt 6-piece combo kit. Once we hit 10,000 subscribers, I'll make a video announcing the giveaway. All you have to do is be a subscriber at that time, and I will make a random selection of one lucky subscriber. Thanks again for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Oh, I like that!